Stayed in the shipyard because I was exempt, considered important work. We were building the USS Iowa, the USS Missouri, building LSTs, landing ship tanks, things that were used in the Normandy invasion. We were building those things. We were important, so I could have stayed, but I was a politically aware young person reading about fascism and the Spanish Civil War and Hitler and Mussolini. And so I wanted to go. I wanted to go fight against fascism, so I volunteered for the Air Force. And to my surprise, I was accepted. When I finished my Air Force training, my aerial gunnery school and bombing school, and I got my lieutenant's bars and my bombardier's wings, and for the first time since I'd been in the Air Force, I came home on an 11-day furlough. And we got together immediately, and 4 days later, we got married in what looked like a sort of shotgun wedding, I was in the Air Force for 2.5 years and dropped bombs on Berlin, dropped bombs on various cities in Germany and Hungary and Czechoslovakia, and even bombed a little town in France towards the very end of the war. And this was a strange one, and one that had a very profound effect on me later as I thought about it. And the war actually in Europe was about over. It was a few weeks from being over, and everybody knew it. But we all awakened in the middle of the night, and they told us we were going to bomb this little town in France because there were several thousand German soldiers around the town. They weren't doing anything, they weren't bothering anyone, they were just waiting for the war to end, but we were going to go over and bomb them. Now, the one odd thing about it, they told us we were not going to carry the usual demolition bombs, 500-pound demolition bombs. We were going to carry instead 30 canisters, 100-pound canisters of jellied gasoline. That's what it was called. Of course, later I learned this was napalm, the first use of napalm in the European theater. And when you're bombing from 30,000 feet, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, you don't know what's happening to people down there. You don't hear people screaming, you don't see blood, you don't see mangled limbs, none of that. And several thousand people were killed. Germans were killed, French were killed. And it wasn't until really after the war, maybe after I learned about Hiroshima and Nagasaki and began to think about bombing, and began to question the total goodness of the good war. Only then did I go think about Royan and that bombing.
It remains to be seen how many people in our time will make that journey from war to nonviolent action against war. It is the great challenge of our time. How to achieve justice with struggle, but without war.